In this video, we'll be talking about the rule of law and true liberty. In order to understand this, we have to break down the differences between the rule of will and the rule of law. The rule of will is when one group or one person tries to push their will on someone else, and what they want is the central authority. And they take away freedom by trying to push their will onto someone else. The two ways that this is done are through tyranny and anarchy. Tyranny is when there's absolutely no freedom. There's one dictator or one group, and they put their will on everyone else, and everyone has to do what they say. On the other end of the spectrum, there's anarchy, which is absolute freedom, which may sound good, but if there's no one to enforce the laws, there's no government to regulate and make sure that peace is there, then you really don't have freedom either. For example, I own land, I have that freedom, but because there's no laws and no one to enforce them, someone can come and steal my land, and so my right to property has been violated. So under tyranny and under anarchy, there really isn't freedom. As the founding fathers were organizing our government and trying to figure out how it should be done, they were studying human history and how humans have always behaved. And they realized that there is a pattern between tyranny and anarchy. So there's always some dictator who's trying to be in charge, and eventually the people get fussy and they revolt. And so then chaos ensues because there's no one to rule, and so everyone is kind of trying to rule over each other. So then they're looking for order, and they find someone or something to bring order to the society, and then that person or thing becomes a tyrannical dictator, and it just goes around and around and around. So how do you solve this? How do you get out of that vicious cycle? The answer to that is rule of law. The rule of law is the answer to freedom. It's the only way that it can prevail. Because instead of the way it is in the rule of will, where it's what someone wants is the ultimate authority, under the rule of law, the law is the ultimate authority, and it applies to everyone. No one is exempt from the law, because if they try to do that, then we start going into either of these, into either tyranny or anarchy. So right here in the middle is the sweet spot, is rule of law. And that's where true liberty can be found. And it's determined by public virtue because it's just the right amount of government to keep us all safe and happy and peaceful. And then the people get as many freedoms as they can handle. But if they can't handle the law, then the rules have to get tighter, so their freedom is diminished. So as long as the people are doing what they're supposed to and the government is regulating just enough to keep them safe, then this rule of law can be achieved. But like I said, if someone tries to be exempt from the law, then we find ourselves in tyranny or anarchy. For example, after Hurricane Katrina, they weren't able to have the laws being enforced. And so anarchy started to take over because everyone was fighting and trying to have their will be in charge. And then we've seen in like Nazi Germany, Hitler was the dictator who took away freedom. So it's really important that we're right there in that sweet spot. And that's how freedom is maintained and true liberty is maintained, through the rule of law.